Good afternoon, everyone. All the participants and the speaker of the afternoon, Ms. Veena Sethuraman. I, on behalf of Association of Indian Management Schools, welcome you all to this session, which is a new addition to the feather of AIMS. We have started the lecture series termed as Inspiring Young Leaders. And I am very happy that Ms. Veena has kindly consented to be with us today and deliver her address to benefit all of us. As you all know, Association of Indian Management Schools is a pretty old organization, about 35 years roughly, and we have 550 plus institutions which are the members of this august body. And this body is primarily into the academic development of its members through various workshops, through various conferences, case study workshops, and the lecture series like this. And also the association takes part in various policy making initiatives of Government of India. We give our input for the benefit of management education and overall management fraternity. Currently, the president of this association is Dr. Nand Gopal. He is from Coimbatore. And we have a very defined august body of what we call as executive board, where from every region we have regional vice presidents and board members, and they continuously interact with each other. Every year we hold a national conference, normally in the month of August, September, but due to this pandemic, last 2-3 years, this was a little disturbed, though we held it online, but this year we could not, for last 2 years, there was little disturbance in the organization. One of other very prime activity of association is conducting the entrance test for the admission to MBA programs. We call it ATMA, ATMA. This is aptitude test for management admissions. And various regulatory bodies and state governments have recognized this as a standard test for the admission to MBA program. And normally we conduct this test 3 times between February to July, so that more and more students participate in the entrance test examination, and they don't have to run around for many multiple entrance tests. Our tests have been accepted by most of the good business schools. So we have started this as a very important activity from our association, because we felt that let many people get benefit of the address of various learned speakers. So this is through Zoom platform, and we are also live telecasting is through YouTube. So I once again welcome you all to this lecture, and I'm very privileged to introduce our speaker for the day, Ms. Veena Sethuraman. Ms. Veena Sethuraman is a senior leadership and organizational development consultant by profession and psychotherapist by passion. She currently heads the learning and organizational development function at InMobi, which is India's first startup unicorn, as you all know. She is proponent of diversity and inclusiveness and mental health awareness. In this capacity, she works closely with LGBTIQ community to amplify their voices. She has also spoken at TEDx Bangalore Women. Veena Sethuraman has published her first book, namely A Pinch of Hope in a Ball of Life, in 2021. She is a very vivid traveler and loves to eat, but doesn't look like that. So I welcome you, madam, once again. for the benefit of my listeners who are on this platform, I'll request you all to kindly put your question in the chat box so that after her presentation, we will try to take up as many questions as possible, and we will try to clarify your queries. Initially, she will be speaking for whatever time she wishes. And then towards the end, we will be taking up all the questions which you might put. So please use the chat box for that purpose, because we will not be able to give you audio connectivity because of obvious reasons. But we will try to take up as many questions as possible. So over to you, Ms. Veena. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Agarwal. Thank you for that lovely introduction. So I'm going to start with a very politically incorrect statement and request. How many of you are comfortable to come on video? It's very difficult if I were to just look at lots of boxes on the screen and talk. So is anyone comfortable to come on video and be with us in the space? That will be awesome. Okay, thank you, Charu, for coming on screen. Others, we have almost 100 people. So just wondering.
We have full house today.
Yeah, we have a lot of people. Fantastic to see that. It would be great if we could have more people on video. Because these kind of topics, the connection on these kind of topics happen when we are able to look at each other and we're able to ask questions, have meaningful conversations.
I'll request all the participants to kindly switch on their video, because Madam is very correct. Unless and until we see each other, the connect doesn't happen purposefully. So there is no harm if someone has to go and change the dress. You can do it and change and come back and switch on your video, because we sometimes take online classes also, and there we request all the students to be present on the video. So that is a very great thing that many people have now switched on their video. So thank you very much.
Great. Yeah, so I can see a couple of you who are on video. And this is something that we keep talking in the organization as well. How we are losing out on the emotional connections because we are not willing to be seen and heard. We are not willing to be visible in front of others, and hence had to start with this request. Okay, so let me start with the first question. The topic that I am, I'm here to talk about is owning your growth. So what does it mean to you in your own roles, whether you are a student, whether you are a faculty member? When I say the word growth, what comes to your mind? What words you associate with? What statements you associate with? Or what pictures you associate with? You can just put it in the chat box. Would love to hear from you. When I use the word growth, when I say owning your growth, what does it mean to you? Maslow's hierarchy need, interesting, okay. Oh, that's a wonderful way of looking at growth, okay. Professional growth, Transformation and transition, fantastic. Professional future, okay. Intellectual, Doing things better than yesterday, beautiful. Personal growth also, that's a fantastic point. Increasing your skills and capabilities, okay. It's okay for you to repeat someone else's answer if that's what it means to you as well. We have 100 people, and hence expecting at least 20 answers here. Go ahead. There are no right or wrong answers for these questions. So there is no mistake that you can afford to do. So just say what you think. This is how this is applicable for you. Learn from the observations. Fantastic call out. Beautiful. Okay. Maslow's hierarchy levels of need. Yeah. I think that's a beautiful way of looking at it. Yes. Personal growth to reach your goal. Yeah. Working hard to enhance our skills than yesterday. Okay. Knowing yourself. Oh, Michelle, that's such a wonderful answer. Thank you. Forecasting your own identity. Okay. Beautiful, powerful point. Improvement in social and economically. Okay. To develop our capabilities in anything. Oh, so you're a YouTube viewer. Okay, Shruti, thank you for joining us. All right. Yes, improving our capabilities, improvement in yourself, knowing our strength, learning new things to achieve goals. Fantastic answers, folks. Thank you so much. So this is a very consistency. That's a brilliant point as well. Yes. So thank you so much for giving all these answers. So when we have so many interpretations of growth, analyzing yourself all the time. Pratisha, thank you so much. I think that's exactly what I'm going to double click on as part of this session as well. So I'm going to combine multiple answers that you have said and to primarily talk about it from my own life. So I'm going to just take 2 or 3 key chapters, turning chapters of my life, and talk about how owning my growth has helped me, and how did I go about doing it, and how it has not always been a bed of roses. So I do not want to put a picture of it all happened in a very perfect way and it all happened exactly the way I visioned it as. I don't want to give that kind of a picture. I want to really talk about all the struggles in the space and how it really happened in real life. So I'm just going to share the slides PPT right now. And if you can see it, just let me know. If you can't see it, just give it a call out. Okay, so are you able to see the screen?
Yes, madam.
Yes, okay. All right, so owning your growth primarily has always been for me about this particular statement by Carl Jung. I carry the statement in my awareness all the time, and I bumped into it long back. Probably because of that, it stayed very strongly with me. That is, unless you make the unconscious conscious, it will drive your life and you will call it fate. What does this mean? We are not aware of many things about us. We don't know what we do. Primarily, most of us will end up looking at us in a way that makes us feel comfortable. Some parts of us we may like, some characteristics of us we may like. Hence, we will give a lot of importance to those characteristics of ours. And we generally refuse to see ourselves in a very holistic way because we are not very comfortable in looking at us, especially the parts of us that we don't like about ourselves, especially those parts of us that make us deeply uncomfortable. But what happens is, when we are not willing to look at us in a very holistic way, and we are only looking at us from the parts that we like, many things from those aspects that we don't like will start driving our life. And it will create a pattern in our life, in our success, in the way we live, in our relationship. And we will end up calling it a fate. Yeah. But the power that we have is to really make the unconscious conscious. Whatever are the limiting beliefs that we carry, whatever are the beliefs that we treat as facts, because of which we limit our own selves. Those things, if we were to bring to our own consciousness, if we start becoming aware of it, if we start questioning ourselves in the process, we are going to learn a lot about ourselves. And through that, we'll be able to design a life that we would want. We will be able to change many aspects of our life. And hence, the fate will almost start flirting with us in that way. It will not be so rigid. It will be playful with us. And that's the most important part to keep in mind to start with. And hence, just I thought I'll start with this particular quote, which is one of my all-time favorite. Unless you make the unconscious conscious, it will drive your life and you will call it fate. So we would have seen a lot of people talking about how in exams something did not work, how in their relationship something did not work, how from a money finance point, economically something did not work. From the confidence and success point or leadership point, something did not work. Oh, I always wanted to do this, but I never got a chance. Probably that's what fate had it for me. So this is how we end up externalizing it so much that we don't realize that we actually had the power to change something about it. And because we refuse to see some parts of us, we are now just putting it on fate. And that's what most of the human beings end up doing. So I want to start with the story of my life. I was born and brought up in Palakkad, Kerala. So almost for the first 20 years of my life, I had not gone out of Palakkad. I was not great in my communication skills. I used to stammer. I used to struggle while speaking in English. While I did study in English medium, I had no confidence to talk in front of people. But I was always a good dancer. I had started learning dance from a very early stage, and hence had always been part of many dance programs in schools and colleges. So when I was in my degree final year, I was in Palakkad and I was in a girls' college there, women college there. And when I was in my third year, I was I participated in a competition, in an inter-college competition in um, erstwhile REC, now NIT, in Calicut. And they have this 1 week program, inter-college competition called Ragam, that happens every year. And people from across India will be part of that inter-college competition. And it's a very, very powerful, beautiful, very colorful program that happens once in a year. So I got to be part of represent my college as part of the dance competition. And interestingly, when the dance competition happened, that entire week, every day they will generally publish a newspaper sort of thing inside the campus, and they would call it paparazzi. So paparazzi will have all the rumors about who's seeing who, the couples in the college, about some teasing aspects about the professors, some aspects about the competitions that are going on. And they will also select one team called, the stars of the day, and they will interview that particular team and they will publish that interview in paparazzi, that newspaper, every day. So interestingly, when we, danced as part of the competition, that day we did not win the prize, but my team was selected as the stars of the day. And because I was the choreographer for my dance team and I was leading that entire team, that entire editorial team of paparazzi, they came to me to interview me so that they can publish it in paparazzi. And this is the first time probably I was seeing a whole lot of people talking only in English, right? Because it's the first time I'm getting exposed to that kind of a setup. So I was just amazed at the kind of, that energy vibe that was happening in the college. And when this editorial team came and spoke to me, they asked some very simple questions. Questions like, what does dance mean to you? What is your advice for aspirational dancers? Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? So the questions were all very simple. And I knew exactly what to say. In my head, in my mind, in my heart, I knew exactly what's the answer I wanted to give them. However, when I answered, I could not convey even one single response according to exactly how I was thinking because of my communication issue and because of my lack of confidence in speaking in English, because of my inhibition of what will others think, will others judge me, what if others think that I'm stupid. A lot of inner chatter was going on for me. Because of that, my confidence was completely off and I started stammering and I did not give even a single answer I could not give a single answer the way I wanted to give. So the interview happened, and next day the paparazzi, they had published a beautiful interview because they put all the answers, they understood what I was trying to say, and they made it look good. But what happened to me was I was very impacted by this particular incident. I was coming back from Calicut to Palakkad next day with my college team. And I just started asking myself, what happened just there in that particular experience? Why was I not able to communicate and answer the way I wanted? And immediately it occurred to me that I don't have any ambitions in life. I was not great in studies. I was very, very below average. And to be honest, in any family gathering, if somebody asked me, what do you want to be? I would say, I want to be a housewife. All right. I had no plans to do any further studies. So I was in that kind of a mindset because I had no confidence in me and I thought I was not intelligent. And I told myself, anyway, I'm not good for anything. So what is the point? So it's okay. If this experience happens, it's fine. But something as a voice in me said, no, this is not okay. This means there is an opportunity to improve. And hence we need to improve. So this was an inner chatter that was happening within me. And hence I went to the next question. So how do I improve? why do I need to improve? So suddenly an answer came to within me. Okay, what if, I love traveling. I love meeting various cultures. So what if in future I end up after getting married, I travel and I need to settle down in some other country. English is required. So why not improve your English at least for that sake? That's how my journey started. And then I was determined that, I will join MBA. I will improve my English. And next 2 years, I'm just going to focus on my personality development. And I went to my mom and I said, I want to do MBA and I want to join coaching class. She literally had a heart attack because she had no plans for me at that point of time. She was very convinced that I was not going to do anything about my life. So she was like, are you sure you want to join a course and want to do MBA? I said, yes. So I went to Times Coaching Center, which was next to my house. And I told this professor who was from IIM alumni, IIM Ahmedabad alumni. He had started a Times Coaching Center next to my house. So I went and told him, see, this is the situation. I am not good in speaking. I'm not good in communicating. I don't know how to convey things. So I'm going to start talking only in English with you. And whenever I do something wrong, I say something incorrect, please just knock my head. So he laughed at me and he said, okay, if you are coming up with this kind of a courage to correct yourself, I'm going to give you some tips to improve your communication and English. And I would like you to do these few things in the next 1 year. So a couple of things he said. One, every month read 5 magazines. Reader's Digest, Competition Success, Filmfare, India Today, and The Week magazine. He said, by reading these 5 different types of magazines, one, you will get to know about various things happening around you. Second, you will see how an entertainment can be spoken in a certain way, which is very different from when you're talking about politics in a certain way, compared to when you're debating in a certain way. And it will give you a very holistic way of communicating with people. Second, he said, in Hindu newspaper, the center part of the newspaper, the middle page, there is something called editor's note. So there will be 3 articles that will come every day. So he said, read that article every day and rewrite that article in your own words. And these were the 2, exercises activities that he gave me. And because I was so determined to improve my communication, I started doing it. In the initial few weeks, what was given in Hindu as an article and what I would write, it would have no connection. And he would correct me. And he would help me improve it. He would give me feedback on very, very harsh feedback in terms of where is it I'm going wrong. And gradually I started progressing. In 8 months, I had reached a stage where I was getting to be super confident about talking in front of people. And in 1 year, I had reached a stage. Any debate I go, any group discussion that I go, I would be able to completely own myself and talk about what I want to talk. And that was a life-changing experience that I went through in my degree final year. And from there, I went to PSG, and that's where I met Nandagopal sir. He was my principal at that time. And from there, the life took off. So why am I sharing this? The initial part of doing that mistake and making myself look like a fool when I was not able to communicate, the first thing that gripped me was guilt and shame. And the inner chatter was, how could I be so wrong? How could I do a mistake? How could I make a fool of myself? Then I was sad. Okay, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. I am not going to make anything happen in my life. That was a criticism that was happening within me. Then there was a lot of anger on myself that I created this experience for myself. And hence, the anger was about, okay, I deserve this. Because I'm not a good student, because I'm not good in studies, probably I deserve this kind of an experience where, I felt ashamed about myself. So this was the kind of emotional, I would say, a journey that I went through when I went through that experience. But what really turned that experience was one, the decision that I made, that I can do something about it. If this is the experience I have now, why can't I change that experience for myself? I can do something about it and I can change that experience for myself. And I will do my best every given minute. These were the 2 decisions that I made that made me confident and happy in long run from the scenario that I actually went through. So here, all of us may, what we do in this minute based on the energy available in this minute could be very different from the energy that is available in the next minute. Today, we might be full of energy. Tomorrow, probably you could be tired. Day after tomorrow, you could be probably not in a mood to do something. So we all go through those kind of ups and downs. But given your current energy in that minute, what is it you can do best? That's something we can look at rather than carrying the pressure for doing the same thing in the same way, 24 bar 7, 365 days. And here, what also helped me was the support and empathy from the Times Coaching Center head. He gave me the psychological permission to do mistakes. He helped me understand that it is okay to be a graceful learner on the go. We don't need to figure it out all at once. We don't need to get everything perfect. As long as we are allowing ourselves to be a graceful learner on the go, that's what matters, is something that he genuinely helped me understand through his support, through his empathy, through his compassion. He did not shame me in the process. He did not shout at me in the process. He made me believe in myself when I did not believe in me. And that was the most wonderful thing that he did. And hence, the growth really happened because of these elements. One, about me acknowledging my own discomfort, uncomfortable emotions, the emotions that I was not willing to face initially. Then I took charge of those emotions and said, I will change these emotions in me, rather than putting those emotions aside. When I owned those emotions, the support automatically came from outside. And then through that support, I could go about it. So based on this particular experience, the learning that I would want to share is it's absolutely okay to make mistakes. I see a lot of leaders in many organizations. I'm an executive coach. I work with founders of the organization and leadership layer of many organizations. And I see a lot of leaders, especially who are very good at their studies throughout their life, from IIT, IIM, Harvard, Oxford, Wharton School of Business. They might have never failed in their life, and there is a whole lot of fear that they will end up doing a mistake. And in that process, they are losing a whole lot of opportunity to grow, because the only way we are going to grow is by also allowing ourselves to make mistakes. If we are so careful about our life that we are not doing mistake, we are also not going to grow in the process, right? So it's okay to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes on the go. And it's absolutely okay to be human. And whenever I talk about this point, what I mean is, the point that comes to my mind is about Buddha's story. Apparently, a woman lost her son, and she went to Buddha and asked for, Buddha to give the life back to her son. And Buddha apparently said, go and get some rice, a handful of rice from a household where death has never happened. And then I will give you your son's life back. So this lady went to all the nearby cities, towns, states, and she could not find a single household where the death has not happened. And hence she came back saying, now I understand what is happening to the world is happening to me. And hence I accept life as it is. So it's absolutely okay to be human. And being human, you are going to make mistake. We don't need to carry the pressure of being beyond human, because when we are trying to put ourselves in a higher pedestal and we think that we are never going to make mistake, the mistake is always something that other people do. And we are all perfect and gift to humanity. What happens is we are sabotaging our own possibilities to grow. We are sabotaging our own possibilities to build fantastic relationships with others by knowing ourselves. We are sabotaging our own possibility to become our better versions. And hence, the psychological permission I would want you to carry in your life, I'm going to invite you to carry in your life, is it's okay to make mistakes and learn from those. And it's absolutely okay to be human in the process. Any questions so far? I'm just looking at the comments. Thank you so much for your compliments. So far, I'm not seeing any questions. So bring your questions, thoughts, point of views. This is not a one-way conversation. So add your point of views as you are hearing something. If something is resonating with you, if you're able to relate to something based on your own life experience, share your learnings in the chat box. If you think you have a different point of view, your life has taught you something very different, opposite to what I am sharing, share that also, because we will all benefit from different point of views and we don't need to agree on everything. So please do bring it up in chat box. Now I'm coming to the second experience that was another life-changing experience. In 2000, in 2007, I'm sorry, let me start from 2004. In 2004, I was with ICICI Prudential Organization, and I was in the front desk, taking care of the walk-in customers, people who come to ICICI Prudential about, and talk to us about their policies, insurance policies. They might be walking in with their complaints, with their request. So all the people, how we walk into the bank, like similarly, people who walk into the branch of insurance organization, taking care of them was my role in 2004 in ICICI Prudential. So I was fortunate enough to move up the ladder to branch manager position in 3 years when I was there. So what I started doing was when I was branch manager, I would just look at my team members' behavior, the way they work with the walk-in customers, the way they interact, the way they handle those people. And I would suddenly feel, okay, there are opportunities to help them improve. And I will create sessions around it and I will teach them various things. And this was happening in a very intuitive way because I was always intrigued about psychology. While I did BCom and MBA, psychology was something that always fascinated me, that made me become a psychotherapist later point of time in life. But because of this particular curiosity, I would do those sessions. Interestingly, that started giving us a lot of benefits. We started getting Six Sigma in complaints in my branch, and leaders started calling me, region leaders, country leaders started asking us, what are you doing to your team? Because of which, you're getting Six Sigma in complaint, because that's not very easy to get. So I would say, I'm not doing anything different. I'm just helping them become comfortable with the emotions of the walk-in customers. And that is really helping us improve the score. And because of this, my regional head called me and said, hey, we are going to start a training department in the organization for operations team. Why don't you join? And that's how my training journey started in a very organic way. And I joined the training department, and I was one of the first people to join, the training function for operations in ICICI Prudential in 2007. Being a year in the operations training, I realized my life's calling is behavioral training. Only because whenever I do behavioral training about behaviors of human beings, I will be in a trance. I will completely forget what's going on around me. I will be so fully into it. I'll be on flow when I'm talking in that space. And I absolutely enjoyed what I was getting to do in that space. So I realized, okay, there is a life's calling here in behavioral training. So let me just look for opportunities around it. So I had no psychology background then. I was not from HR. But I wanted to get into behavioral training. So I called my friends, some people from Infosys, some people from Wipro. I called my friends and said, you know what, I'm interested in behavioral training. If you see any opportunity in your organization, behavioral training, please send me the job details and I can apply for it. So when I was talking to them, my husband was sitting next to me. I was talking to one of my best friends in Infosys, and my husband was sitting next to me then, and he said, applying in Infosys, what are you thinking? So I said, why not? So he said, you don't have psychology or HR background, and your scores in colleges has always been low. So on what basis do you think you'll get in Infosys? So I said, in fact, he cracked a joke around, even the security guard will not allow you inside, something on those lines. So I laughed at it and said, maximum what, I will get rejected. There is nothing that is going to go wrong apart from that. So let me give it a try. So I did apply. And within 2 days, I got an interview call from Infosys. And within 4 weeks, I was selected after multiple rounds of interview. And I was selected in Infosys Leadership Institute as a behavioral trainer. And during the interview, I was told, I'm the first person to join Infosys Leadership Institute without HR background or psychology background, but purely because of my passion in the space and commonsensically the way I was understanding things. They thought I can do very well in this space, and that's how I got that role. And till date, I take vengeance on that on my husband, and I give him tit for tat for the comment he made. Poor guy. But on a serious note, that particular moment happened, and that was a life-changing moment in my life when I got into Infosys Leadership Institute, because that formed up my path in leadership training and behavioral training. And today I'm the global head of learning and organization development in InMobi. And I'm the executive coach in the space. But all this started with that one step that I decided to move forward with without thinking about what will others think? What if I get rejected? So I definitely would give the credit of that particular moving forward that I did to this particular attribute of mine, that is audacity plus being silly is equivalent to ambition. If you are being ambitious and if you're constantly thinking what will others think, you're going to sabotage your own possibilities of growth. If you are, if you want to do something in life and you're constantly thinking of will others laugh at me? What if I get rejected? What if I do some mistake? What if others think I'm making a fool of myself? You're going to sabotage your own possibilities of growth. If you have ambition, if you have a vision, if you want to do something in life, in whatever areas of life it could be, but you're constantly thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, I will not be able to do what it takes in the space, or I'm never going to get this right, and I'm not going to be smart. The moment you have all these inner chatter, you're going to again block your own growth. So the idea is to have that courage to be silly, daring to daring to fail, daring to make mistakes, daring to be okay in who you are, and figuring out life on the go rather than expecting the entire clarity in the first job on the very first day itself. The biggest shift that I see from my job and career path to people whom I see in the next generation who are in school, college, in the next generation is from the very first job, there is a pressure to be having high clarity on how your life is going to turn out to be. And that's never going to happen. The first 2 years are for you to just do mistakes and figure out what space you want to settle down on, which industry is exciting you, what role is exciting you, what are your strengths that you're absolutely enjoying to as you bring it out in front of people, what strengths come naturally to you, what are your weaknesses that you're willing to work on. For us to understand all of this, we will have to be in multiple places and experiment and figure it out rather than trying to get that entire clarity on day one in the first job itself. So are you willing to experiment? Are you willing to flirt with ambiguity? Or are you pressurizing yourself with a need to be perfect and need to figure out everything on fine day morning? If that's happening, you are going to kill your own ambition. And hence, that's going to be a big part of your growth and the way you allow yourself to grow as you go about it. I saw one question on the chat and some comment. Let me just go through it. Completely agree, Samir. It's a very beautiful call out. Thank you for sharing that. How you got your first opportunity and from where? Thank you for asking this. I missed sharing that. Thank you, Yasavi, for bringing it up. So my first job was, as I said, I did MBA from PSG Institute of Management, Coimbatore. And it was almost a bad year to come out of college for placement because 2001, the 9/11 incident had happened in US. And 2003 is when I passed out from PSG. And I got my first job through campus placement in Standard Chartered Bank into credit card selling. And my first salary was 3,500 rupees. And I just took it. Though the job was in Bangalore, I did not think about whether this money is going to help me or not. I told my parents and they could afford. That's where I was blessed. I told them I would need at least around 3,000 rupees from them every month because my salary is only this much. And the basic means of petrol and food, they will take care of it. The rest, I will figure it out with my salary. And though it was 3,500 rupees per month, the reason why I took it was I wanted to come to Bangalore and at least spend a year in talking to different types of people to improve my own communication. I wanted to understand how am I showing up when I'm talking to people? How am I showing up when I'm building relationship with my credit card customers. How am I showing up when am I able to even sell a product? Or do I have inhibitions and am I getting scared? So a lot of things I wanted to challenge about myself and figure it out. And hence I took up that role. And 1 year down the line, I got two things out of that job. And that's how my career started. So I had put, what is it called? The um, credit card showcasing tents and all that in front of Infosys Gate and Wipro Gate. And I remember once I had put up a show stand in front of Infosys Gate to sell credit cards. And I looked at Infosys and thought, oh my God, only people who can really study well can get inside. And within like 5 years, I was inside doing a fantastic job. And that's how life takes us to various paths if you're willing to flow with it. That has been my experience. But 1 year down the line in my first job with Standard Chartered Bank selling credit cards, I got two things out of it. One, whatever exposure I wanted to get from talking to people, different types of people from different walks of life, I got that exposure. It was fantastic to get exposed to various conversations. It built my confidence. Second, I realized sales is not my cup of tea. And that's how I moved to ICICI Prudential in operations. So that's how I started my career. So first in sales, then couple of years in operations training, operations in as an operations and underwriting person in ICICI Prudential. Then I got into Infosys Leadership Institute into training. Almost spent 9 years in Infosys. And then I moved to Adobe. Adobe invited me to be part of their training team. And then 4 years back, I joined InMobi to build their learning and organization function from the scratch. So I know with all the faculty members here, I should not really say it, but still I'm calling it out to just support all the students here. So in my organization development in my first trimester, I failed. And I remember crying after failing in my first trimester in my organization development subject, because I felt big connection to that subject, but I could not do well because I was always bad in mugging up things or understanding things and putting it on paper. And today, when I head that organization when I head that function in an organization, and I'm able to add a lot of value in the space, I do realize that many times what the difference between what we internalize from a theory part and the way we apply could be very different. And hence, if you're very good in studies, if you're a class topper, and if you're fantastic in theoretical aspects, please ensure you're good in application. And if you're not good in studies, you still have a chance. Please ensure that you're good in application. And that's how the growth works in real life. On that note, let me come to the next part of it. Next slide. So from the story of me getting into Infosys, I just want to call out these learnings and share it. It's okay to own our story. Wherever we are. Today, if you're in a bad place, it's okay to be in a bad place. But just own it. To say, okay, I am in a bad place. Whether it is in a breakup in a relationship, whether it is not studying, whether not getting a job. I'm in a bad place. What do I want to do about it? Unless we own our story, we will not be able to change it. But if we were to own our story, we can decide how we want to end it. The ending of the story, we can decide by owning our story. Otherwise, life will take us somewhere and we will call it fate. And hence, that's important to remember. Vulnerability is strength. Many of us look at vulnerability, talking something bad about ourselves as, oh, something related to being shamed, something related to how will others think, how will others perceive us. But vulnerability takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to say, you know what, I'm doing a shitty job and I need to improve. You know what, in this aspect, I did not deal with this person in the right way. In this conversation, I showed my ego. In this conversation, I unnecessarily shamed someone else. To just own our behavior and change it, it takes a lot of courage to do that. And hence, it is a strength. It is not a weakness. There is nothing wrong in doing something as a mistake and owning it and correcting it and being able to talk about it. As I said, it takes a lot of courage to own our story. Many human beings suffer in their life and go through the same struggle as a pattern because they're not looking at what is not working in their life. They are deeply wishing that if they don't look at what is not working in their life, somehow things will work. And that's why we have so many struggles in the world and so many suffering in the world. So I'm just coming to the last part of this conversation now. which is a topic that very close to my heart, but we generally don't talk about. That is our mental health. I come across a lot of people, whether in corporate space or otherwise, where they could be going through a depression, they could be going through a sadness, they could be going through anxiety. We don't talk about our emotions. If I go and ask 10 leaders, how are you feeling? All 10 leaders will tell me what are they thinking and not what they are feeling. Many of us do not even have vocabulary in terms of how we are feeling. So, for example, if I have my pen here, this marker here, and if I'm keeping it at the edge of this table, and if I'm saying, I feel concerned that if I keep this marker at the edge, it may fall. Then it is a feeling because I'm feeling concerned. But what I hear from many leaders in our corporate spaces, I feel that we should move this pen because otherwise it will fall. This is not a feeling, this is a thinking. So there is a difference between thinking and feeling. We end up talking about our thinking as if we are feeling. And this is the biggest problem that we have in humanity today, because of which we are not able to own our emotions. Whether we are sad, angry, ashamed, or disappointed, we do not even have these vocabulary in front of us. So forget depression. Even in our day-to-day life, we do not talk about our emotions. And hence, it's a topic that we should not talk about, but everybody is impacted by it in one way or another. So when you are sitting with something, going through something from a mental health point, it's okay for you to grow at your own pace. Growth is not always linear. Growth is only our education system works as first standard to second standard to third standard to fourth standard to whatever standard. In real life, growth is not linear. It is absolutely non-linear. You may go up, you will go down, again you will go up, then you will go up of 10 steps, you will go down 40 steps. And again you may go up 30 steps. That's how non-linear your growth is going to be. Do it at your own pace and do not expect you to grow in a linear way. That's going to be important. And grow at your own pace. What do I mean by that? Your classmates may get a 2x salary than you in their first job, while you may not get it, but that's okay. This all is about what do you want to do in life and how do you want to keep investing on your growth rather than comparing with others. As somebody had put in chat box initially during this conversation, very beautifully, that it is about becoming your own better version and competing with yourself. Is your today's version better than yesterday's version? Is your this year's version better than last year's version? That's a benchmark we need to have rather than comparing with others, because everybody's journey is different. Everybody's strength is different. So we are not going to be ever happy if we were to constantly compare ourselves with others. So grow at your own pace. What is happening to you what is happening to your friend in their first job may happen to you probably in your third job. What is happening to you in your first job may happen to your friend in their sixth job. And it's okay. We cannot have everything at the same time. But can we be clear about what we want and what we want to improve and bring clarity to ourselves on those lines? For that, growing at our own pace is important. Success lies in evolving as part of the journey, and output is just the side effect. Do not get carried away by the destination. Give equal importance to the journey as well. Otherwise, you will get so stressed out that after reaching a certain level, when you look at your journey, you will be like, where did I spend my time? I was never happy. I was only chasing something. And that's something that will be a big trap for the growth. And unfortunately, we are conditioned to look at destination more than the journey. So give importance to the journey equally as much as you give importance to destination. It's okay to take support from the people who respond with empathy. It's okay for you to be vulnerable in front of people, who show empathy, because we all believe that we need to do everything for ourselves and figure it out for ourselves. But it takes a lot of courage to go to someone and say, you know what, I don't know how this works. Can you please help me? Can you please explain this because I don't get this? And many, students who are from out of college, irrespective of which college they are from, I see them not asking powerful questions confidently to their managers when they join an organization. Why are you not asking powerful questions? In your first job, how are you expecting everything for you to know everything on your own? The more you ask questions, you're displaying your confidence, you're displaying your courage to be vulnerable. Do ask questions. Let people judge the way they want to judge. So if I am ashamed because you're asking a question, You need to know that it is my shame that I'm projecting on you. It is my fear that I may not know the answer, which I'm showing on you through anger. It is not your problem when you're asking a powerful question. In fact, if you're asking a question and if I don't know the answer, you're providing me an opportunity to learn something new. And hence, it's absolutely okay for you to take support, to ask questions, to agree and disagree. It is, we again mix up in our culture disagreement with disrespect. We think that every disagreement is equivalent to disrespect. Both are two different things. I can completely disagree with you and still have full respect for you. And hence, do not mix this up when you get into corporate spaces. Do not mix this up when you start asking questions, powerful questions to your seniors or even to your professors. The healthy debate can really improve your point of views and your capacity to put out things. Hence, be comfortable in agreeing, disagreeing, and agreeing to disagree. It's okay to be not okay at times. There are going to be many phases in life where you're not going to feel okay about yourself. We are going to feel shitty about ourselves. We are going to feel very low about ourselves. Those are going to be part and parcel of our life's journey. And do not judge yourself based on those days. But those days are inevitable in our life. And it's okay to have ups and downs in life. It's meant to be that way. Because if anything else, life is, it is not going to be called life. So on that note, I just want to, show this last slide. I had this experience in Infosys when Revati came to my organization to do a mono act. And the mono act was about, a mother who's getting to know about her son who's a gay. And the son has written a letter to the mother coming out as a gay, and he has gone out. And when he has gone out, Revati as a mother is reading that letter. And what emotions she goes through is that entire mono act all about. I was weeping when I was watching it. She did it so powerfully. But the point was really about how we shame people just because we are not comfortable with ourselves. So what we don't know is what we don't know. That humility is missing today as part of our growth. We believe that our belief system is universal truth. Whatever we think is right is the only way to be right in this universe and life. Anyone else who bring any other truths are not truths. This is what happens in a gender point, in a sexual orientation point, in a leadership development point, in a managerial journey point, many places. This becomes a big, block for the organization growth and individual growth because we just want to prove to everyone that our beliefs are the only right ones. But we are refusing to believe that our beliefs also could be limiting beliefs. Our beliefs also could be beliefs that are not helping us grow. That is something we don't have visibility today. So any intent of a discussion is not to win, but to progress in our thoughts. If we are able to challenge ourselves, that is what is going to help us in the space for us to grow. We are not going to know everything. And hence, let us not carry the pressure to know everything. It's absolutely okay to say, you know what, I don't know that. And I would love to learn more about it. Be curious. Curiosity reduces ignorance. We have lived only one life. That is our life. What does it take for us to learn from lives that we have not lived? That is from others. And everybody is equally powerful. Everybody is equally good. Only if we allow ourselves to look at that. So there is this favorite movie of mine called 5 to 7. It's a French movie. And it's an English movie as well. Both languages it's available. And there is this beautiful dialogue that says, put aside your notions of how the world works. You'll be amazed at the grace. You'll be amazed by the grace of the world and the people. And that's what happens when you allow yourself to learn from others. I would rather keep my mind be open with curiosity than closed by a belief. It could be about anything. It could be about religion, spirituality, sexual orientation, gender. Just because I believe something, it doesn't make it right. I cannot treat that belief as a fact. It is just a belief, like many other beliefs in the world. And that particular approach is what is going to really help us grow in the space. So on that note, inviting all of you to embrace your imperfections, capacity to learn from mistakes, lifelong learning for continued growth. And we are in the process of becoming. Michelle Obama in her book, Becoming, she has written this beautiful introduction note. She says, I hate it when adults ask kids, what do you want to become? As if that is the ultimate purpose of life. We are all becoming every moment. We are all becoming something else every moment. We are becoming our better version. We are becoming our own multiple dimensions in our own self in each experience. Why do we need to have an end stage in our becoming? And hence, can we just keep going forward in the journey of becoming? That's the invitation as part of this conversation. On that note, I'm ending this sharing from my side. So over to all of you. Any questions, any thoughts? And I've just put my Instagram, ID and my email ID, veena.sethuraman.author@gmail.com. And the book that I published last year is A Pinch of Hope in a Bowl of Life, which is based on five real life stories, which questions the stereotyping in the society in multiple ways, all based on real life of 5 people around me. It's available in Amazon and Flipkart. You just need to give my name or my book's name, and you'll be able to buy the book. So on that note, let me stop sharing the slide and come back to all the questions and thoughts.
Thank you very much, madam. It was let me be very honest. I was not satisfied with the content that you gave because it was so interesting that I wanted more and more and more. But time has got its own dimension. I am sure that we will have more occasions to interact with you. And so many things you did in your life. You took the challenges. I just went to Palakkad about a month ago. I have been there 2-3 times earlier also, because when I last time went to Coimbatore for this our executive board meeting with Dr. Nandagopal, I drove from there to Palakkad. Nice place. But I'm sure that the viewer who have heard you or they have seen you on YouTube must have got some food for thought, because many a times what happens is that we don't accept our weakness. We try to cover it. We try to put it under the carpet. I just had one question.
Yeah.
Do you, it's of course a matter of research currently going on. Have you also noticed some behavioral changes after COVID? Because we at our university here in Prayagraj are doing some kind of a very small study. So I just wanted your feedback. Of course, I'll get in touch with you for larger discussion. But if you can just give 30 seconds or a minute on this.
Sure. Yes, I do see a lot of behavioral changes because of the, from a positive angle and from a negative angle, I would say. From a positive angle, I think we saw death in a very close circle, like never before during pandemic. I think all of us would have lost at least one person in our circle during that time. And we were not prepared in that way for meeting death, facing death. Because of which I see a lot of people now having the courage to ask fundamental questions like, what do I want in my life? What is the purpose of my life? What is the way I want to contribute to the world? This particular capacity, I don't think human beings had before in this massive way. And that is one big positive aspect that I am seeing in behavioral changes in corporates as well. People are willing to now balance between their personal and professional life, which many people wouldn't do before. And hence, that's the positive change. The negative changes, we have lost the connection to, we have lost the capacity to connect in a very face-to-face way. And for example, the fact that we have to call out for people to come on video. Otherwise, people are very comfortable in not coming on video is a very classic example. This happens in many corporates, in many sessions. Somewhere we are not allowing ourselves to be seen and heard in front of people. We are hiding away behind a system. And when we are hiding away, we are missing out many opportunities as well. In some context, being seen and heard is important. And if we are so used to hiding behind a system, what will happen is over the time, we will not feel like bringing ourselves in front of others. And that is one of the biggest negative behavioral changes that I see in people.
Thank you very much, madam. I think we have just finished the time limit But
Yeah.
I have just one more uh, discussion point. Do you think people correlate money with career growth?
Of course, yes. So if somebody says, oh, money is not required, something else is important, and that person already would have earned enough money to say it. That has been my experience. We need money to actually invest back on ourselves. Today, if I'm able to go to US without thinking twice, to go and invest on a particular session, and go there, attend 5 days workshop and come back, it's because of my money, right? However, if I make that as the only output, that's when we will get trapped, because then we will carry a lot of stress, because we are only looking at money coming from that angle. We are not actually looking at what is the purpose we are adding. If we can marry the purpose of our life, how we want to contribute to the world and impact humanity in whatever way we want to, in small scale, big scale, doesn't matter. That along with money, that's when we become a very powerful combination. So both are equally important. If we get too carried away by money, somewhere money will be there, rest everything will be lost in life. But if we look at only purpose, we will be doing a lot of purposeful aspects in our life, but we will not be happy. Probably we'll be sacrificing ourselves in the process to take care of the world. We can take care of ourselves and others in the process.
Thank you. Actually, this is where we are not able to find out the dividing line, and many times we forget the better combination. So thank you very much, Ms. Veena, and thank you all the participants, because I see the session had full capacity throughout, and Madam has already shared her email ID and Instagram ID. If you have any questions, you can ask her. I am sure that whenever she will have time, she will be responding to your queries. And on behalf of AIMS and on my own behalf, I thank Ms. Veena for a wonderful, wonderful session. And as I said in my remarks, that I was not satisfied, because I wanted to hear more and more, because this type of thing nowadays, at least I personally do not get chance to participate because of my other commitments. But thank you very much, and we hope we will meet again at some point of time in our life.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Bye, everyone.